And joining us now, House Majority Leader Eric Cantor. Mr. Leader, thanks very much for being here.
Good morning, Harry.
One of the things you said earlier this week, that emergency funding should be offset by cuts to the budget deficit. Do you stand by that?
First of all, Harry, I know that America is just stunned by the scope of devastation and loss and the horrific tragedy that the people of Joplin and other places across the country really are experiencing this tornado season. And so I know our hearts go out to them. And also we see in the healing process that there is an appropriate federal role. Congress will find the money and it'll be offset. And we're going to wait for the president to come forward with his recommendations as to the amounts. And again, Congress will have the money to help begin the rebuilding and the healing process in Joplin.
But will you insist that there is a quid pro quo, that there's a trade?
You know, Harry, it's like this. When a family is struck with tragedy, like the family of Joplin, they have, let's say if they had, $10,000 set aside to do something else with, to buy a new car, to do something else, and then they were struck with a member of the family or something and needed to take that money to apply it to that, that's what they would do. Because families don't have unlimited money, and really neither does the federal government. But there's no question there's a federal role here to play. Mm-hmm. Congress will find the money, it will be offset. And until the president comes forward with his recommendation about how much, I know there are plenty of charitable efforts going on now. JoinJoplin.org is a terrific effort on the part of the Alliance on Aging in Missouri. And I know all of America wants to join to help people who have been so struck by tragedy.
Let's talk about the special election that took place earlier this week in New York, up in New York 26. Some people suggested that Medicare was in fact the single issue that put the election over in the favor of the Democrats. Do you believe that's true?
Well, I mean, Harry, I don't think it's undeniable. It played some role in the election, but anytime you have one side demagoguing and, frankly, accusing the other side in a way that's not factual of trying to reform the program, certainly that's going to influence an electorate. But listen, as far as Medicare is concerned, there's a simple choice here. Either we're going to save the program or you let it go bankrupt. And in fact, we put forward a program to reform Medicare and to save it. But the Congressional Budget Office, as well as the trustees of the program itself, say it will go bankrupt. The real question is...
In the next decade.
Within the next decade. So for those 54 and younger in this country, they won't have the Medicare that exists today, and it's a fact. And so the question is, and I know Debbie Wasserman Schultz will be on after me, I'd ask her, where is their plan? They don't have a plan. We put a plan forward. Again, it's a question of leadership here.
Do you and the rest of the Republicans in the House stand by the Ryan plan as you all voted for?
Absolutely. I mean, you've seen that, and you've seen the vote in the Senate. We put forward a plan that saves $6.2 trillion over the 10-year budget window. Included in that is the necessary reforms to save the entitlement programs.
But the question becomes, is the voucher the answer? Is that the only answer? Because if I understand it correctly, I get a voucher and then I have to go out in the marketplace and hope I'm going to get the insurance I need. And if that's the case, you're talking about medical rationing. You're talking about going to insurance companies to get what you hope you deserve.
Well, Harry, the reforms that we put forward would apply to everyone 54 and younger. And again, what it does is it reforms the program to ensure it's still there. And it is much like what most people have with their employer plans, that they are, by the employer, given the benefit, but then choose from a variety of plans out there that best fit their family's needs. So it's an attempt to try and personalize the Medicare program to allow seniors to choose, much like they have with the Medicare Part D program when it comes to prescription drugs. But we believe very strongly that if we can put in place the kind of reforms necessary in the healthcare arena to allow for more choice, to allow people to actually choose what's best for them and not have Washington do it, that is the best way to reform. But again, I think the point is, Harry, the other side has not put forward any plan.
Are you concerned at all that this could turn into a political albatross, though? I mean, there are some Democrats that are saying, Yahoo, look where they are, this is what we're going to run on, and this could get us the House back.
Well, again, this is demagoguery. I think it is the typical meta-scare sort of tactic that the Democrats are using again. And I believe the country, they understand what leadership is. And let's look at that Medicare program. Here are the facts. The facts are 10,000 people a day, new eligible people a day, every single day come entitled. Then secondly, when you look at the revenues derived from Medicare premiums and taxes, they cover only a little over 50% of the program. So that means every single day times 10,000, you are 50% in the hole.
And the cost of medical care continues to skyrocket.
You cannot survive that. And that's the reality. And this is what's so striking is that Democrats have not put forward any plan whatsoever. It's bankruptcy for them. And so I think that the American people are tired of promises being made and not kept.
Let's talk about something else you introduced this week, which was a jobs program. And one of the key portions of it was a notion to reduce corporate taxes down to 25%. Some people said, well, this sounds like stuff we've heard before. The Washington Post called it old ideas with fancy new clip art. Is this, are these real ideas? Is this a real way to put people back to work?
Listen, Harry, I was hosting a small business job forum in my hometown of Richmond last week. I met with a number of small businesses and entrepreneurs, and they weren't telling me, hey, we want something new. They don't really care about that. They care what works. And what they said was that, why can't we get a Washington that sort of helps us, not hurts us? And the kinds of things that they were asking for were lower the tax rate, try and put some common sense back into the regulatory environment here in Washington, make it so that small business can invest again and create jobs. You know, there are too many people out of work in this country, and frankly, the economy is not growing enough. And our small business jobs plan is about speaking to the entrepreneurs that we know are the job engine. And the question, I'd go back to you, just like on the spending issue. Republicans have put forward a plan. Now we have also demonstrated again that cutting is just not enough. We've got to grow this economy. We've got a plan. Where's theirs?
Let's talk about the cutting. You meet with Vice President Joe Biden twice a week, several hours each meeting. The rumblings we're hearing from it is that you're actually making progress. Have you really isolated $1 trillion in budget deficit reductions?
Those talks, which actually we've been meeting for I think over 3 weeks now, they have been, I think, all positive. Everything's on the table. We've said as Republicans we're not going to go for tax increases. I think the administration gets that. But we've also put everything on the table as far as cuts, and I can see, yes, we can accomplish well over $1 trillion in cuts.
Well over $1 trillion.
Well over $1 trillion in cuts. But the striking thing, Harry, is you get people in the room of different philosophies and persuasions, and I think what we've actually seen, it's easier to find places to cut and to gain efficiencies than the Democrats may have thought otherwise.
Is Medicare included in these?
Everything is on the table. Everything is on the table. And as we know, the big drivers in our deficit off into the future are the health care entitlement programs.
Sarah Palin is in town this week, and she's getting ready to start a bus tour. Just in the last couple of days since that was announced, I mean, she gets a lion's share of the attention. Would you like to see her get in this race?
Listen, Sarah Palin is someone that I think reflects what we Republicans believe, and that is this country has a choice to make. The country has a choice to make this upcoming election, November 2012, and that is, do we want a country that speaks of more government and higher taxes, or do we want a country that tilts toward the private sector and says, you know what, that's where the innovation comes from, that's where the opportunity lies. And I think Sarah Palin, like the other individuals looking at this race or in this race, believe very strongly that we have to put forward a plan to get that America that we know going.
You satisfied with the candidates who are at least talking about running or said they're going to run, Republican candidates?
Yes, the candidates that are in the race are serious. They've all said, you know what, Washington has not changed as far as the White House is concerned. What we hope to do as Republicans in the House to say, look, We want leadership. We want real leadership. That's why we put forward these plans. And in fact, I think our candidates are beginning to embrace the type of things we're doing, because we're actually beginning to change the way that this town works. We just need some help in the White House and in the Senate.
Do you want Michelle Bachmann to stay in the House? Do you want her to run for president?
Listen, Michelle Bachmann's a great American. She's a smart woman. She's articulate. She is a businesswoman, an attorney, a tax attorney. She is very qualified to do whatever it is she would like to do. And I've had the pleasure of working with her and know she brings a lot to the table.
Mr. Leader, we sure appreciate you coming in this morning.
Harry, thank you.
Thank you very much.